It has been over 600 days since Ghislaine Maxwell was found guilty of human trafficking, yet not a single one of her clients has been arrested yet.
Who do you think published those articles in the media? Who do you think made those documentaries? You don't think that Jewish people had an influence in the media for pushing the civil rights movement? If it wasn't for Jews and their relationship with Hollywood going back to the 1950s, after it was essentially bought out by white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, none of that stuff ever went into the mainstream. All the beatings and attacks walking over the bridge in Selma, Alabama, no one would have even heard of it because it never would have been carried in any of the publications which were run and owned by Jews.
But I thought that was anti-Semitic to say that the Jews own the media.
I'm not saying that Jews own the media. Jews have used their influence within the media to the benefit of the rest of society. Jewish people fought tooth and nail for the power that they have within society, and they have managed it well. Okay, and they deserve.
Boy, you really deflected from that.
Jewish people deserve the influence that they have. It's not all of it. It's just the majority of it. Influence. It's not all of it, but the majority of it.
Reads her copy in Braille. She's quick with a joke.
Is there anything you can't do, Faith?
See?
What did you discuss back in the hotel room?
Nothing, just friends, just like Khrushchev and Kennedy and everybody. When all of the politicians of all other white races come together, and although they believe different, they think different, whites can come together and discuss the common cause. But whenever a few of us come together, the world is shook up. And I say, whatever went back there is our business.
Reverend King, do you agree?
Oh, yes. We had a very good discussion on many matters. And, of course, these are not things that we would discuss here. But we do have common problems and common concerns. And above all, as Muhammad Ali has just said, we are all victims of the same system of oppression. And even though we may have different religious beliefs, this does not at all bring about a difference in terms of our concerns.
Do you share the same, one more question, do you share the same concern that Muhammad has for his draft status?
Oh, I certainly do. My views on the draft are very clear. I'm against it. And I think the sooner our country does away with the draft, the better it will be for everybody.
I just dropped off your sign, just to let you guys know.
What sign's that?
Did you guys not order it?
Yeah, we didn't order it. No, we ain't order no shit like that. No, you can go ahead and get off this property, though.
Oh, my fault. You want it by chance or no?
No, we don't want it.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. That was quick. What the fuck? Is he that pissed?
That's a KKK member.
Oh, shit. That's a KKK member. Bro, is he... What is he throwing up? Oh, that motherfucker's different. Oh, what the fuck? What the... What is he throwing up?
Okay.
What the fuck?
And it's a very narrow perspective. That's the most unfortunate part of this.
It's not a perspective, it's a real fact.
Do you care about the starving millions of African people in this country?
I care more.
Do you care about the farm workers who are being oppressed in this country? Do you care about the fact...
Don't interrupt me. I've finished. Thank you. Bye. Take where the shit. Bye.
This is going to be a multi-year recovery. It's going to take essentially years to rebuild Lahaina, which was destroyed. But we will build it back better, and we'll build it back proudly.
Build back better.
Building back better.
To build back better.
We're going to build it back better.
For the time being, condemnations from around the world, an appeal from the United Nations to Russia to please stop.
Everybody got that? Good. And build it back better. My plan to build back better.
This climate change is an issue, and we need $1 billion more to help prevent more climate change.
How much money do you need if you still haven't figured it out? So if it's getting worse, that means you suck at your job and you've been collecting billions of dollars to learn the science of the weather and blah, blah, blah. And now everyone's crying. It's like climate change. You see what the climate change did to Maui?
Mira la pinche láser, güey. La sombrilla azul. Mira. La sombrilla azul.
Okay. And you won't dare,
Mr. Vasahi.
You won't dare interrupting me once more.
Go ahead, Miss Man. Thank you very much. Touch me, and you'll be in trouble. Touch me on my studio.
You touched me.
Touch me on my studio. Touch me on my studio.
You touched me.
And
take away his arm.
Touch me on my studio.
Take away his arm from me.
Touch me on my studio. Touch me on my studio.
I touch you on your studio.
Touch me on my studio.
I touch you on your studio.
You don't do that.
Yo, don't touch him.
Wait.
Please.
Let's discuss. Yeah, let's go.
Okay, I'm a smoker. A lot of people are smokers. Real quick, he's sticking the finger in the face, cigarette in the eye. Boom, automatic response. He snapped his head back. His entire body is open. Any strike you want. Okay, same thing with the change. He's sticking the finger in your face, right in the eyes. Okay, once again, the response, turn the head away.
I am not finished with you.
Mr. Pasahi, stop threatening this woman, Mr. Pasahi. I'm telling you, stop it now. Would you stop it now, Mr. Pasahi?
I won't stop it. You try to stop me.
Mr. Pasahi, why are you threatening this poor woman? What has she done to you? She's expressing her views.
She's talking about the capitalist whites. Why do you think
it's that identifying with whiteness and the expectationalism that comes with it is literally killing folks? Because they don't have the coping skills to deal with setback. It's something James Baldwin wrote about, and this is what Baldwin said. He was writing about black folks and the ability of people of color to overcome obstacles and the inability sometimes of the dominant group to do it. He said, I don't mean to romanticize suffering, but that person who can never suffer can never grow up. That man who has to snatch his manhood out of the fires of human cruelty that rage to destroy it every day, learns something about himself in the process that no school and no church on earth can teach, and that is a sense of his own authority, and that is unshakable, because in order to save his life, he has to constantly figure out the meaning behind the words, right? When a person is constantly having to survive the worst that life can bring, they cease to be afraid of the worst that life can bring.
Playing rap music at a sushi place. Now I can't enjoy my food.
Did he just call Justin Timberlake rap music?
Hey, class, what comes before 47?
KK.
We don't have any yachts for rent. Whose yachts are they? They're personal yachts. I want to talk to the manager. Okay, 1 second. Hi, how can I help you? What the f is your problem? What? What the? These new boobs.
You know why they call it Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Because most people think it's like an instant telegram because it's about sending messages and information. But it's really an instant gram of dope. So Instagram is actually dopamine. It's electronic dopamine, virtual dopamine. So, you know, that's why it's getting pushed so heavy, because women want attention. Attention has to deal with dopamine release. Dopamine is known as the reward hormone. And we call it the reward hormone not because it rewards you, but really that it motivates you. Because the only reason why any reward has any value is because you worked hard for something. If you get called up on stage to get an award or a certificate or anything of the like, and you ain't did nothing for it, but everybody thinks you did, you're gonna feel like Hollow Man.
These kids want to die, and the reason they want to die is because they're teenagers, and when you're a teenager you're supposed to want to die, but that death is supposed to be metaphorical and spiritual. Your childhood has to die so you can become an adult, but nobody's told them it's metaphorical and spiritual, so they have this death urge that they then actualize in the physical world, as opposed to through ritual or through maturity. I've often thought that it's similar, that this culture is so wretched and so many people are so very, very unhappy. They want this nightmare to end, and they don't recognize that the death that they want is a cultural death and is a spiritual and metaphorical death. Especially because within this culture, the spirit is separated from the earth and from the flesh, and so you can't have this transformation that simply occurs in your body. And so they kill the world in all physical reality as opposed to that spiritual transformation.
Where do you think you're going, Yank? I'm going stir crazy. I gotta take a look around. Plan our escape from Spiker and Sponge.
Escape? To where? We'll all be squashed, slaughtered, smooched.
No one's going to smoosh you, my dear boy. You're 6 feet long now. No one's going to smoosh you, my dear boy. You're 6 feet long now.
Sometimes it's a good idea to choose quickly.
Somebody's hurting, 'cause I'm taking apart. You sound happy, you heard the voice call. Everyone's looking, they just stop and stare.
Oh, hey, Derek.
Hey, Mom, I'm here to celebrate the death of Nana. She died today.
What kind of idiot celebrates the passing of someone else?
Mom, she was a terrible person. She was 104 years old, and she was a racist.
She was not a racist. She was born in like 1920, and everybody was like that back then.
Wait, so everybody that was born in the 20s were born without hearts?
Well, she did employ a bunch of black people and gave them a lot of opportunities.
Did you hear what you just said? Come on.
I believe that she was friends with all of them, too.
Mom, listen, the whole family's going out tonight to celebrate. You should come.
Jesus Christ, this whole family is going to hell.
Just Nana.
Will you be someone who cares? Do the right thing. When someone needs a friend, do the right thing. Help us broken to mend.
I don't think people understand how much property Oprah actually owns on the island of Maui. You look up pictures of the house and this is what you see. You see her house, a mansion with her guest house is also a mansion. But this doesn't tell the full story. Zoomed out on Google Earth, she has this exact division of property, almost 1,000 acres that she owns solely. One person owns this much property on someone else's sacred land. Nobody needs that. Her property has its own private road that only a few people can use. So when you go and you look at pictures of Oprah's house on Maui and you only see stuff like this, just know that's not her property. She owns 1,000 times more than what you're seeing. She bought all that property somehow for $6.6 million. If you go and you estimate the value of all that acreage now in Maui, it's over $300 million. So basically, she could sell a third of that land back to the people of Maui at full market price, which is still evil, and use that $100 million to give it back to the people of Maui. No one person needs that much property of any island. It's ridiculous.
Do the right thing. You could be in those shoes. Do the right thing. Someone's counting on you.
I am Peter Flaherty, Chairman of the National Legal and Policy Center. The Gates Foundation offers a gender identity toolbox, which asserts that gender is a result of socially and culturally constructed ideas. This is a lie. Gender is not a cultural construct. It is a genetic and biological fact. You're not going to censor what I say, ma'am. I'm very sorry. I'll appeal to the chair that I be allowed to continue. Sir? You may continue, but you're under a 3-minute limitation. We know how much Bill Gates cares about children. He met and traveled with Jeffrey Epstein many times after Epstein's convicted sex crimes. The Gates Foundation had a huge influence on the COVID response fiasco. The Gates Foundation may be the largest single donor to the dark money machine known as Arabella.
do the right thing.
Health officials are warning people in Alabama and New York to avoid mosquitoes because of a rare virus that can spread if they bite someone. It killed at least one person in Alabama. New York's health department says most people who are bitten won't develop any symptoms, but severe cases begin with sudden headaches, high fever, chills and vomiting, and could progress to seizures and coma. There are no vaccines or specific medications to treat the virus.
Little girl in Alabama dies after contracting a rare virus from a mosquito. Literally warned people 10 weeks ago that this was going to happen in a video that did decent, but it's not the point if it does decent or not. I'm doing my best in spreading this message, and it's up to you whether or not you want to believe it. It's him. It's him. They're saying that it's not him, which is how you know it is. It's kind of funny that he's working on that while dropping hundreds of millions of mosquitoes on people.
Do you know what country this is?
Isn't that Ohio?
Did she say Ohio?
I think it's China.
Ma come China?
That's Jamaica, right?
No, it's not right!
Russia?
Si, vabbè.
Damn, kinda like Brazil.
Kinda like Brazil. But what does that mean?
I graduated from Harvard though, bro, so that's easy.
Toast of pastry, cornstarch, soy lecithin, potassium bromate. Potassium bromate! This supermarket is trying to kill us! You! Potassium bromate, do you know what that is? Are you okay, sir? It is known to induce renal cell tumors, methyltheliomas of the peritoneum. Can I call someone for you? Call someone. You know what you're putting into our bodies? Death! Delicious strawberry flavored death! Okay, I'm calling security. Yes!
I was sitting one day drinking some coffee, and I was looking at the line at Chick-fil-A. 3 lines starting at 10:30 in the morning, and I stayed there for an hour. It never let up. I said, ain't no way in hell that a chicken sandwich tastes that good. So I said, let me see. I wonder what they're putting in it. And I started doing the research right at the time that you remember, in the hood, there was this argument, Popeyes versus Chick-fil-A, and everybody was going back and forth, and you seen people at Popeyes, man got shot. Man shot somebody because they didn't have no more chicken sandwiches left. I said, this ain't no regular chicken sandwiches. So I went and looked up Popeyes chicken sandwich. Come to find out, they have over 40 ingredients in the Popeyes chicken sandwich. 32 of them were man-made chemicals. And I said, well, let's see what Chick-fil-A has. Over 50 chemicals in the chicken sandwich. Over 40 of them were man-made chemicals. I said, so hell, this is a dope sandwich. So they really are flipping birds over there. Because there's no way in the world to justify. So whenever I seen that, I said it in a message, and someone took the clip of it and then went on the website of Chick-fil-A, had it broke down where they were clicking on it, showing all of the ingredients and these chemicals that were in it. Do you know the next day Chick-fil-A took that down off their website? So now you can't find the ingredients to the Chick-fil-A sandwich or the Popeyes chicken sandwich because they don't want you to know that they're drugging you, they're doping you, that they have you wanting the food not for nutritional value, but because you've become addicted by the MSG and the other chemicals that they've inserted in that also or immune.
The project was created in collaboration with Lieutenant Governor Josh Green and the help from community members to build several communities of tiny homes across the island to combat the state's homeless population.
Around the world, we're seeing these homeless camps being built. Very strange camps. Around the world, these little cabins are going up, and some local news crews didn't do the best job of covering up the open pipes leading into each of the cabins. Complete with an air pressure PSI indicator, there's a manual turn lever and an open pipe that would allow nefarious officials to easily pump noxious or incapacitating gas on a cabin-by-cabin basis, allowing precision attacks against their desired targets. And I can't shake this sinking feeling in my gut that maybe these are extermination camps. This may be a way to clandestinely kill certain, quote, undesirables and or sterilize them.
I found the video of the cargo helicopters in Maui during the time of the fire. Check this out. They can hold up to 55 passengers. Now, I want you guys to look at this. I'm going to show you the picture for comparison. But this was going on when they say no one was flying and no one was in the air. There were helicopters, and this looks exactly like a cargo helicopter, military. Take a good look. Let's do the comparison. Here's some models. Of course, there's different models that they make to carry certain things. But what do you think was really going on, guys?
It was a military plane.
And the plane wasn't no airline or anything. It was a twin-engine, big gray plane.
We watched the first explosion. As we're watching the buildings, I saw a black, very large airplane fly right into the second building. It came at it south, right in front of our eyes. It was so surreal, like a movie set.
Were you close enough to be able to see any markings on the airplane?
It definitely did not look like a commercial plane. I didn't see any windows on the sides.
I think a bomb went off in the lobby first, then a plane hit the building. But then another plane hit the other building. But when I was coming through the doors on the other side of the Trade Center, either they blew the lobby up or something, because it blew the glass out of the doors and knocked us all down.
You're in the building trying to help people, and it's exploding on the inside the building. So I don't think we'll get any worse than this.
It wasn't from the jet fuel. No way.
People don't understand. There may be more. Any one of these fucking buildings can blow up.
Why did Google and BlackRock spend $1.2 billion to acquire Burning Man? Music is one of the primary programming tools of our generation. Propaganda through lyrics and frequency. Think about it. Burning Man is a massive congregation of people who enter altered states of consciousness and therefore are more receptive to being programmed. It truly is a recipe for social engineering, almost like a testing ground. We are living in a corporatocracy. We only really have the illusion of choice. The same people who bought Burning Man also control the media and then create the culture to then sell all of their products to. They own it all. The purpose of the event may have once been about self-expression and rejecting capitalism, but the festival as we know it today has been overrun by corporate interests. And do you really believe that these people have our best interests at heart? The media recently highlighting Burning Man seems a little bit suspicious. Can we zoom out? What are the messages being telegraphed to the masses? Fear, viral outbreaks, weather manipulation, climate emergencies, lockdowns. Are they priming us for something? And within the festival, they really reinforce the idea that you can be free, truly free at Burning Man, implying that once you come back into our society, you are not.
Get down below and you'd see molten steel running down the channel rails, like you're in a foundry.
These incredibly hot areas were found at the bottoms of the elevator shafts, down 7 basement levels. The molten steel was found 3, 4, and 5 weeks later when the rubble was being removed. He said that molten steel was also found at World Trade Center 7. The highest temperature was in the east corner of the South Tower, where a temperature of 1,377 degrees Fahrenheit was recorded. The molten steel in the basement was more than double that temperature.
We're not talking about something that's entertaining or sensational. We're talking about your government, where you live, your country, your freedoms. Right. And what we're talking about here is things which you see every day. Like someone said a long time ago, many will look with their eyes but not see, and listen with their ears but not hear. And that's us. That is this country. We have been looking at things all along and never realizing the significance of the occult emblems that we're seeing today.
Check this out, y'all. Australia. 2 suns. Looking clear. That shit look just like a Dragon Ball, y'all. Look at this. Get ready to make that win.
Did you know that there was a ceremony featuring the all-seeing eye conducted on the live television broadcast for the 1-year anniversary of 9/11?
Is the Mayor of New York, Michael Bloomberg.
Again today, we are a nation that mourns. Again today, we take into our hearts and minds those who perished on this site 1 year ago, and also those who came to toil in the rubble to bring order out of chaos, and those who throughout these 12 months have struggled to help us make sense of our despair. Now we join with our fellow Americans in a minute of silence, led by President George W. Bush from the South Lawn of the White House in Washington.
The seal that we have on an American dollar bill is an occult seal of an occult society pursuing an occult agenda.
Bill Clinton, you cannot assume that black people will automatically vote for you. You should stop expecting a handout and work to earn your vote. What is your agenda and relationship to black people in this country and African people abroad? What is your relationship to black youth beyond the patronizing gesture of picking up black babies and patting them on their heads? How will you provide economic opportunity? How will you rebuild the country? Is it that you didn't know about the conditions of inner city urban America, or is it that you just didn't notice, like you didn't notice that you were in a segregated club? How will you address the Haitian issue? How will you address all issues of significance to African people in America, since you are courting our votes?
Sometimes a story makes me so angry, I don't even know where to start. The video made me gasp. So I guess let's start with Seattle officer Kevin Dave. You see, on January 23rd, Kevin Dave here was going to a, quote, high priority call, and he was speeding without his lights on or siren. He hit a woman in a crosswalk, and at 50 miles an hour, she didn't make it. Moments later, Detective Daniel Adurer was on his way to the scene when he placed a call to Mike Solon, who's the president of the Seattle Police Officers Guild. And during that call, Detective Daniel here accidentally activated his body cam, and he caught the quiet part out loud.
Went up on the hood, hit the windshield, then when he hit the brakes, flew off the car. But she is dead. No, it's a regular person. Yeah. Yeah, just write a check. Just $11,000. She was 26 anyway. She had limited value.
And here's where he realizes. Her name was Janavi Kandula. She was a 23-year-old woman from India who came here to get her master's degree. She was the daughter of a single mother back in India, a teacher who saved her money to send her daughter to America to school. She had value. Cops do not care if they kill you because they are covered by the insurance that is qualified immunity. Just ask Detective Giggles, who has 29 incidents reports.
Not such good headlines coming when it comes to what Caribbean nations are claiming they want from the royal family, Rupert.
Well, they want reparations for the royal family's links with slavery, and it is not a good look. It's a very complicated look for how does the royal family navigate its way through this. Now, obviously, the sensitivities of the Caribbean nations, and indeed many of them, their desires to no longer have the king as head of state. So there's a lot of political to and froing, and this was always probably going to be an area that the king was going to have to negotiate, not necessarily the reparations, but actually how to deal with the Commonwealth countries who want to no longer have him as the head of state. And bearing in mind that he was more than happy for Barbados to let go and move on, so he does get that.
Well, he probably wasn't more than happy. We went along to the ceremony and I think that was all very nice, the sort of peaceful handover of power and all of that. But the key thing here is, again, the answer to this is from everybody, do one. That's the correct answer. Yes, the world was a horrible, horrible place. I'm sure that my family, half of them from, the west coast of Ireland, my guess is they'd probably like some reparations for how they were treated by the British government. No doubt the royal family has something to do with that. It is, we're also looking at the Caribbean nations looking for money from the Church of England because they made money from slavery. Lloyd's of London, the insurers who insured the slave boats. Yes, it was a horrible, horrible time. But, when are we getting reparations from the Danes for what the Vikings did? When are we getting reparations for what the Romans did from the Italian government? When is anyone going to ask reparations from the African nations that happily sold African slaves to the slave traders? I mean, this is such an absurdity. And the fact that it's treated as a serious topic by people and not just, people don't just say, shut up, this is ridiculous. You're talking about something that happened 200 years ago. No one is paying reparations for it now. Is absurd to me.
Well, and then you look, they'd probably be emboldened by Laura Trevelyan coughing up, by all accounts, £100,000.
Well, those of us who have a spare £100,000, Rupert Bell, I mean, because most people who feel guilty about something their family has done in the past will say, oh, let me give £100,000. If she was really guilty about the money, look, she's a BBC correspondent, left the job, old hand-rigging, usual typical little posh private school girl going, oh, it seems like my posh family made money from slavery. Yeah, most posh families did. I'm going to give away £100,000. If she really cared, give away all of your inheritance, love.
Well, and that has emboldened her, the Caribbean nations to think they can go after other people. Now, the royal family, I think the king is mindful of his family's past in all, but he does realise that if he opens the door, it's a far more complicated issue than for everybody else. And I think this is where the king's got to navigate the PR side of this most sensitively in many ways, but it doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be writing a check. But it is a reflection of where some of the Caribbean countries are thinking and looking ahead.
I'm sorry, let's call this what it is. This is a one big grift. That's what it is. This is a big grift. Slavery was awful. Slavery has always been awful. Slavery is still going on right now. The vast majority not vast, but every single empire, every single country was involved in slave trade at some point. Britain, by the way, was the one country that ended what was a profitable slave trade for us. We were still paying the costs of paying off the slave traders. I mean, yes, that was obscene, but that was what was necessary at the time. Even a few years ago, we were still paying that off as a debt. I mean, we have nothing to be ashamed of in this country.
And I think that is that has to. The royal family would have overseen all that when Queen Victoria was on the throne. There was a lot going on, and Britain was at the forefront. But it does mean that, in a way, the sort of soft power of the Commonwealth, it's very important. Britain trying to negotiate where it sits. And all these other, China, Russia, they're all hovering around to try and get involved. So there's a lot going on in that area, sort of behind the scenes, which and the royal family are probably an easy target because they don't tend to reply.
No, exactly, and they'll be full of that white guilt because William and everyone are all absolutely imbued in that nonsense, aren't they? I tell you what, if they're worrying about public opinion, the British people are public opinion. If they do that, why don't they just take the knee and have done with it?
Russian, Russia, Italian, Italy, German, Swedish. Korean, Egyptian, Nigerian, Black. I hope you were able to successfully identify the issue. You were able to properly identify with all the groups that I called out in the countries that associates with them. But when I said black, everyone had to look at each other and try to figure out what you was going to respond to.
How you doing today, brother? Can I ask you a question? I feel like I can get some wisdom from you.
Don't trust white folks.
Oh!
I was hired in December of 1988 to replace one of these men. These beings conveyed information about the capability of affecting the human brain to anesthetize the human body. This is done without any physical contact from a remote source. For this anesthesia to be accomplished, the brain has to be in a relaxed state similar to that required for hypnosis. If the brain is subject to any external stimulation like stimulant drugs or loud music, this manipulation of the nervous system is ineffective. These beings said that man was the product of externally corrected evolution. They said that man, as a species, had been genetically altered 65 times. They refer to humans as containers, yet I don't know what we're containers of.
Remember what we just went through. The Australia government was forcibly putting people into concentration camps, quarantine camps. We have a hot mic recording of a guard telling somebody that they'd get fucking gassed if they didn't calm down.
So it sounds like they want this guy to stay here longer, which is concerning for me because he's stayed here for 14 days.
Mate, you gotta take me somewhere fucking else!
Calm down or you're gonna get fucking gassed.
Fucking do it then!
Alright.
And how could we ever forget the whistleblower from within the manufacturing process? A tradie who was involved in building these quarantine cabins in Australia, telling us that there were these strange gas pipes that would allow the government to gas people in the cabins. And he said that there was an anomalous pipe leading into each room, which would allow camp staff to administer any type of gas they wanted, straight into people's rooms. He even asks, what are they going to gas us in these?
Just want to quickly show you guys something, right? Alright, I'm going to show you these things, right? These are the quarantine buildings. And these are each rooms. Now see these wires, this is a window. Why do you think they got the wire in the window? It hooks up because they've got a massive roller shut that keeps you in. This electronic door, which will make it lock, turn the air conditioner off or on. There's that much gadgets, these buildings, what was it, 900,000 or 900,000 each building. And it's little prisons, size of little remand buildings. But this is the thing, through all these buildings is connected a gas pipe that is connected to nothing. Right here. The rest of the building, your air conditioning, your hot water, electrical and that. What's this from here? Connects through the wall. Goes through. It's going to come through the ventilating. Right. What are they going to gas this in with? I'll show you one that's starting to get sheeted. And the only weak point is underneath this window. You have to smash through the wall and get through the tin.
Now, what's extremely concerning is the governor of Hawaii has announced the Kahale Initiative, which we're seeing rolled out around the world under a different name. In other parts of the world, such as San Diego, California, they're calling it tiny homes for the homeless.
Let's talk about Indigenous activist Leonard Peltier. Leonard has been in prison for nearly 48 years for aiding and abetting the murders of 2 FBI agents in 1975. We now know much of the evidence in the case was falsified, including the Myrtle Poor Bear affidavit and ballistics evidence. The government repeatedly lied and buried evidence to gain their conviction. He was basically framed for murder. Today, the government admits that they don't even know who killed the 2 agents. Senators, former FBI agents, and countless others have called for Leonard's clemency. So why, after all these years, is Leonard still locked up in prison? It shows the government's hatred for indigenous resistance and for anyone willing to challenge the system. Leonard is an elder now, 78 years old, and it's time for him to come home. Let's do our part to make this happen. Share this video, call, email the White House. Use these hashtags and educate yourself more about his case.
5 солнц. Раз. 2. 3. 4. 5. И радуга над нами.
The depth of me. It's a lot of women that I have interacted with that were surprised that there's more to me than just like the bedroom at the last place we went. if we went there. There's some of us men I heard that are sapiosexual. Sometimes, yeah, I call a woman over. Yeah, but honestly, beloved, I just want to talk and vibe.
That part.
I ain't gonna hold you.
Right.
Like they don't believe.
Right.
Like
They
I
don't
really
believe
just smell your scent. Like I just need that energy. You know what I'm saying? So I love conversations like this with men. But one day I'll find a way to do it. But the reason I haven't is because I don't want any woman that's ever been a part of my journey to feel like I'm bashing them, because I'm not. You know what I'm saying? But my part of my journey, I ain't never been a predator, beloved. Like a woman be lying and say, man, AJ hit me up to fuck me. You ain't go. No, I wanted something deeper than that. It may have resulted to that. It may have looked at, but here's the thing. You may have hit me up with the intentions of I want dick. And I'm not judging you for it either though. But I'm just saying that I'm not the villain. I think we can have this conversation without having villains, because I watched my mama be abused. I got 4 sisters. I took the position of I don't want to be a villain to these women. You hear me? But it's crazy how somehow, you know what I'm saying, we end up being that. But I'm grateful for these for y'all brothers, man. I'm grateful for this space, and like I say, Doc, I appreciate you giving me the space to add my piece in, and hopefully, you know what I'm saying, we all feel and evolve from this conversation, man.
Therapists ask you very, very simple questions. You know what I'm saying? Starting with angry. It's like, okay, why were you angry? You know what I'm saying? What led to the anger? How did you feel when you they go through this whole process to where you've ventured in every variation of the source of that anger.
Right. To get to the root.
Get to the root. Because if you only consider one part of it and don't address the rest, then you still got more fuel to act on the anger.
Right.
So it's like kind of like when you do like a diagnostic check or something. It's like you go through this whole process of figuring out why am I mad in the first place.
Right.
And it made me think more like, yo, this is over some nonsense. I'm mad over nothing.
So
Matter of fact, I'm mad about something prior to this situation, and you about to become the recipient of something that don't even belong to you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So therapy gave me the ability to walk my issues down in real time, you know, in rapid succession, till I was able to start finding ways